Hello everyone and welcome. We've got some Risk of Rain 2 Eclipse gameplay today, featuring my favorite survivor in the game, Mercenary. Now let me tell you, the mechanics in this run, not quite up to par. If you're familiar with the last stream that I did, I lost every run on that stream, and man, that was depressing. So I took a long break, finally got the itch to play the game again, and here we are. So if you see any missed exposed transfers, especially with the utility skill, just know I was a little rusty at the time. But regardless, it feels good being back in the game. Have to do a little bit of farming, of course, to get our opening gold, and then we'll see what kind of items that we get. Now, I've been working on my Eclipse runs lately, trying to get gold Eclipse, and I'm going to be entirely honest with you, it's kind of brutal. I'm beginning to realize that there are just some characters that, they're just not made for me. They're not something that I enjoy. And of course, worst of all is Rex. Man, that character is just so unbelievably garbage. I don't understand what Hopu was thinking, giving his M1 a 0.5 proc coefficient. It is just so bad. This character, atrocious. I hate it. And even considering the weaken debuff, which is actually pretty good, taking away 30 armor from an enemy should be a really big damage boost. It feels like this character just doesn't do any damage. I mean, each hit of his M1 only does 80% damage. Come on, this is ridiculous. That at least needs to do 3 times 100, especially considering it's an actual projectile and not hit scan or auto-targeting like Commando or Huntress. Every time I play Rex, I just try to rush visions as fast as humanly possible, because his M1 actively makes me angry having to use it. And while his M2s are actually pretty good, both of them, his utility skills are depressing, and only the self-damage special is really at all worth using. And even though I mentioned Commando's M1 as something that's good, and it is good, I still don't enjoy using it. Mostly just because of the spread. Even if you have a backup mag or two and you're using his M2 to reset the M1 spread every so often, man, it's just frustrating. And even after playing around with the grenades, they just don't feel consistent enough for me. I think they're genuinely good when you have a brilliant behemoth, but other than that, I think they're underwhelming. And all in all, he's just not someone I really enjoy playing that much. But look at this, we have a Mocha Printer right off the bat, and a Void Seed. What do we have inside? It's a Poly Loot. Amazing. These are some incredible items on the first stage. Right now, I'm hoping I can stack up a bunch more whites to print a bunch of Mochas. Having a bunch of attack speed on Mercenary early is going to be awesome. The skill is Eviscerate, and the movement speed, of course, is integral to making the game just feel better, as well as being able to dodge attacks and such. Plus, the attack speed synergizes really well with the Poly Loot. More hits, more procs, more damage. But just to finish my point on Commando real quick, the worst part is that the grenades are actually Commando's only way to proc bans without an item. It's actually for that reason that I think Essence of Heresy is pretty good on Commando. Between his alternate M2 and his pretty strong M1, he can stack up room pretty quickly. And then proccing Essence of Heresy not only does a lot of damage in its own right, but it does help him proc bans. But I don't mean to pontificate for too long about characters that I don't like. Going back to the run real quick, the items we picked up are really pretty good. Yarrow's Poly Loot, Mocha, and even Harvester's Scythe for the crit. Really pretty strong for stage 1. And we still have plenty of items to go. We haven't even come close to full looting the stage yet. And here we go, open another chest, boom, another Mocha. How insanely massive. Attack speed and movement speed, what more could you want? Stamina, health, and endurance. Everything you could ever want. 10-year-old references aside, the only thing I could really nitpick this stage for is I kind of wanted a bunch of whites to print Mochas. I would gladly trade the Death Mark, the Ignition Tank, and even the Harvester's Scythe for another Mocha. Stacking movement speed early just makes it so much easier to take no damage, and on Eclipse 8 that's really important. But we've got a quick burping beetle to take care of, which I think is pretty unanimously the easiest stage boss. All she does is sit there menacingly. Although it can be a little frustrating especially on early stages, if you've hit a few shrines of the mountain, and they keep summoning beetle guards over and over again. If you don't have any AoE to deal with that, it can turn into a problem pretty quickly. We don't have to deal with that here though, just have to deal with one of them. And our reward for the great challenge is a guillotine, which, you know, not really that great. I would consider old guillotine a must-have if you're looping, but if you're doing a stage 6 Mithrix kill, then this doesn't really do anything for you. I guess you can kill those overloading bell heads a little more quickly, but when you're not looping, they just don't have that much health to begin with. And you don't have to deal with the insane health numbers of Celestine or Malachite enemies. So I feel like this is a pretty regular scrap. But there is something I wanted to get some feedback on regarding the future of Risk of Rain 2 on this channel. And since we're just sitting here waiting for the teleporter event to finish, now is as good a time as any. Because really, at the end of the day, this channel is just a mix of the things that I like playing and what you guys want to see. So the thing that really gets me about playing all of these other characters to get Gold Eclipse is it just really isn't that enjoyable. When I finish a run with Rex or Commando or even Multi, I just feel relief that it's over. I don't have to play those characters anymore. And it's kind of depressing because I really like this game a lot. I think it's an incredible piece of work. The soundtrack's great, the gameplay's great, and it's something that you can just play for hours and hours. I think I have not quite 500 hours on it on my Steam profile, which is just nuts. So I don't know what kind of content I'll be making with this game in the future. It feels pretty bad to me to want to make content with this or stream it, and then just say, no, I'm not playing this character, I'm not playing the Survivor, it's not good, I don't enjoy it, it's not fun. Because then you're gonna end up seeing like 4, maybe 5 Survivors most of the time, and that's just not enough variety to be interesting for a viewer. But, you know, go ahead and tell me what you think about it. Leave a message in the comments and we can have a conversation about it. Anyway, back to the game. We finish the teleporter, go back for the Shrine of Chance, and what do we see? Goat Hoof and Soulbound Catalyst. Look at these items as we're finishing this stage. We have 2 Mochas and a Goat Hoof, which is nuts. Getting movement speed early is huge. We have Polyloot and Kiaros, which is nuts damage. And we got a red item out of a Shrine of Chance. Even though it's not really useful for us right now, it's still a red item. That's pretty crazy. As we go into stage 2, there's a Void Seed as well, which means possibility of more Void items. The wish list right now looking like Polyloot, Plasma Shrimp, Encrusted Key would be cool, Wungus of course, but we'll have to see. One of the great things about playing Mercenary is he can get in and out of these Void Seeds pretty quickly, which makes it a lot easier to clear them. Although it is unfortunate that he still takes Void Fog damage while he's in Eviscerate. I suppose you can't ask for too much. God bless Hopu didn't decide to make the Void Fog cause permanent damage on Eclipse 8. That would absolutely kill this game mode. I do think that the Void Seeds are a pretty interesting way for Hopu to add complexity to existing game map. It can be pretty annoying when the Void Seeds block off a bridge or something, and you have to fight your way through it to get there. But at the end of the day, just adding an exclusion zone makes you play the game differently around them. So I'm a big fan. Oh god, and here we are taking damage from jellyfish. How gross. Look, I warned everybody that this gameplay was gonna look a little rusty. And that's proof enough of that. And then I take a hit from a Void Touch Lemurian and almost die to collapse. But God bless Eviscerate iframes. Man, this character is just so much fun. It feels so high skill to play Mercenary. When you iframe certain attacks, like dodging the explosion from a Wandering Vagrant with Eviscerate or your dash, feels amazing. And same thing with that collapse proc there. Going into Eviscerate just as it's about to get off. Man, it just feels good. And I think that's the mark of a really well-designed character. Where just the simple act of playing them makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're good at the game. To me, that's what all characters should aspire to be. Man, I really want to finish this Void Seed right now. It's so funny. I have enough money that I could wander around, pick up some chests, maybe get a healing item to get my health back up, but I just want to finish this Void Seed right now. No mercy. Oh, and I finally found the last guy. And my health is getting so low. This is so greedy for no reason. But I did it. Whatever. If you're a budding mercenary player, or maybe he's just not really your thing, if I could give you a couple tips. You've seen it a couple times now, but using your M2 Whirlwind, or even the alternate M2, even though I don't really like it, to dodge attacks is really, really helpful. Using it at the right timing can dodge lesser wisp attacks, which are pretty much undodgeable until you get enough move speed. But Mercenary can dodge them from level 1, stage 1. Another red item, Tesla Coil, on Mercenary, the melee survivor. Disgusting. Look at this run, man. I take a break from Risk of Rain 2, and it welcomes me back with open arms. Here you go, have your god run, I know you want it. Yes, Hoku, give it to me. I want it so badly. But as I was saying, the M2 is really good for helping you dodge the lesser wisp attacks, which are normally pretty hard to dodge until you get move speed. If you're not very good at timing the jump to dodge Stone Titan lasers, it can be good for that too. I mean, it's good for pretty much dodging anything that you can get out of range of. There you see the Eviscerate dodging the Glacial Explosion, which is another great application for Mercenary's invincibility. Ah, man, this character's so fun. But speaking of Mercenary tips, the other thing, which I guess is basic Mercenary tech now, everybody knows it unless they're pretty new to the game, is the Expose transfer, which I mentioned at the beginning of this gameplay. If you do your third basic attack, your third M1 that applies Expose, and then use another skill with the right timing, you can transfer that Expose to also hit on the move that you use to cancel it. So if you hit M1 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then as that third hit's going off, you use Whirlwind, both hits of Whirlwind will apply Expose, which just boosts his damage and cooldown rate immensely, because not only does Expose add a bunch of extra damage, it also lowers the cooldown of his abilities every time it procs, which is pretty nice. You can do the same thing with his utility skill, although this particular gameplay is probably not going to be the best example of that. Like I said, I am a little rusty. And you can do it with Eviscerate too, which is pretty nice, although it doesn't apply on every hit of Eviscerate. It only applies once, and then the rest of the Eviscerate hits go off. Now that I think about it, I wonder if that's because there's only one hit of Eviscerate that's guaranteed, the first one, and then the rest of the hits only happen if you have enough attack speed. The stage is pretty slow. I think this is probably the worst stage 2 out of all of them. Really big. There are no good enemy spawns for money. There's no secret benefit, like the free bands on Abandoned Aqueduct. And it has all that water that you have to put your camera in to see anything underneath. And then when you do, you can't see any of the flying enemies because it makes them invisible for some reason. But it is what it is. You can't have every stage being an absolute winner. But anyway, you can see this Beetle Queen's just melting right now. Combination of 100% crit from the Ocular HUD, Yara's Band, the Poly Loot, Tesla Coil, and even the Mochas in the Syringe. Oh, it's all just stacking up. It's going great. And then we get a Shuriken as a drop, which is just an incredibly good item on any melee survivor. I mean, on most survivors, to be entirely honest. It's just a bunch of extra damage. It can proc bans if you're playing a character that doesn't have a good way to proc bans early. Incredibly strong. This run's coming back to me now. I think there's a little bit of an embarrassing moment here. We'll see. Just from watching it, I can see I left a few Void Cradles back there, and I'm definitely going to want to open them to see what's in there. I just don't have the health regen right now to open them back to back, and I don't have the safer spaces, which would make them all free. So we're just chilling in the teleporter. Running in circles. Man, we're so strong right now, it's crazy. Take a look at the items real quick. We have 15% crit from items, which is great. We have 3 movement speed items, which is really good for stage 2. The Chiaros, the Tesla Coil, big damage. Polyloop, big damage. We even got a Gasoline to synergize with the Ignition Tank that we got from Stage 1. Man, it just feels good. And we got a Sticky Bomb too, which isn't bad. I actually slept on Sticky Bomb a lot when I was doing my tier list for you. There it is! I activate the teleporter and I didn't pick up the Void Cradles. Oh, and here we go, I realize it, and I'm so upset. It's so frustrating. We hit the thing. No! And it's Lysate, which, you know, isn't incredible, but it's pretty good on Mercenary. More dashes, more invincibility, more damage. But Sticky Bomb, yeah, I really underrated this item when I was doing my tier list. I think I put it... I hope I didn't put it in Scrapper tier because, man, that's really bad. After doing the math, it comes out that a Sticky Bomb is, you know, roughly a 10% damage increase, which is right up there with the percent damage increase that glasses gives you, which is kind of crazy to think about. And definitely better than I gave them credit for in my tier list, that's for sure. I mean, honestly, it's not quite as good as glasses, because when you proc something on a crit hit, then the resultant effects also get crit, so it's an exponential damage increase, but if you think of 10% chance to do double damage as a 10% increase in damage, which it is, then Sticky Bombs are pretty good as well. Speaking of bad stages, I do not like Rally Point Delta either. The stage is huge, and the worst part about it, well, aside from the enemies that are in here, because no one likes those damn pests, they're so frustrating, is you can get the Trash Can 280, which costs, I don't know how many credits it costs, but it's so annoying. Once you see the Trash Can 280, you just know that there are going to be no items on this stage. It's the most annoying thing in the history of the world. But we're making quick work of all these guys. Trying to see what items we got. Fungus, not great. Repulsion Armor, not great. Meat, not great. These aren't awesome items, but we have so much damage at this point that it doesn't really matter. Even if there's a stage that doesn't give us anything, we're still sitting pretty. We're still chilling. And really quick, because I'm thinking about it, Hopu, bring back fresh meat. It is so much better than bison steak. I don't understand why you changed it. The Red Whip printer, I'm not really interested in. There were a few people that mentioned in my... Oh, another Lysate cell. And I do pick it up. Real quick, I think that Lysate cell is really not bad. It's a hard sell because Fuel Cell is just so good. I mean, the equipment in this game are really disgusting. It's an extra ability, and sometimes it's, you know, stronger than any survivor's individual ability. Pentabobble, great. So it can be a really hard sell, getting rid of an extra use of your equipment for an extra use of your special, but some survivors synergize with it better than others, and I think that Mercenary synergizes with Lysate Cell pretty well. More invincibility gives more leniency when you're playing him, so especially if you're going to be looping and you don't have a God Run going already, the extra invincibility makes it a lot easier. And the credit card. Oh, that's disgusting. What a great run, man. This is so cool. So more invincibility, more damage, more movement, which is also important. Is that an ATG I spy? Oh, baby. We really have everything we could want right now. It just feels so good. ATG is such a massive damage increase for us. I would still, I think, really like to have a Plasma Shrimp. Mercenary hits so many times, you're going to get a lot of procs of it off, and the more Plasma Shrimp procs, the more Polyloop procs, and the more Polyloop procs, the more Plasma Shrimp procs. They synergize really well together. I don't think we're going to be getting a Clover this run, so the Plasma Shrimp would be pretty nice. But instead, here we are getting medkits. Pretty gross, pretty gross. Oddly shaped Opal is nuts, though. It really is just like baby Saber Spaces. It doesn't block status effects, which, you know, is I guess it can't be as good. There can't just be two safer spaces. But getting away with a free hit is kind of nuts. Getting a safer spaces or an opal can make this game a lot easier because odds are pretty good that you're not going to die. Or that, I'm sorry, odds are pretty good that you are going to die from just one bad hit, you know? If you're running around, you're moving, you're jumping, you're dodging most of the abilities, you're probably just going to get hit by something that caught you unawares. That's the most likely way to lose the run. So if you have opal, you can just take all the damage of that hit away, and especially on Eclipse 8, you lose less max health from it because it's based on the amount of damage you take, which is really good. And then, of course, Safer Spaces is just even better. It just blocks the hit completely. It's hard to say no to a get out of jail free card that comes up every 16 seconds. So, for example, I die a lot to Mithrix. I think in my stats page on my profile, he's the monster that kills me the most. Which isn't super surprising, I guess. I do get kind of lazy with my Mithrix fights. But going back to the Safer Spaces and Opal example, if you're just having an issue taking one stray hit during revolving doors, then that'll just make that mistake go away. And if you have good damage, he's probably only going to use revolving doors, you know, once or twice, maybe 3 times. It basically makes the entire fight guaranteed. Unless you really screw up, which, you know, it can happen. We all have bad days. Look at that damage. Let me tell you, when I saw that magma worm, I was so excited. I thought I was going to get a molten perforator. The luck on this run has been so good so far. I felt it in my bones and it didn't happen. Feels awful. But it's not like the item that we got was bad. Will-o-the-wisp is pretty good, especially for, you know, we're only on stage 3. We have another 2 stages to go where we're going to have to do a lot of mobbing. 3 stages, I guess, if you count commencement, which I don't really, because I like to skip pillars as much as possible. Hopefully I can skip pillars in this run, too. Lately, I've just been... If I don't have a way to skip pillars, if I'm playing a character that can't do it, or I don't have the right items, or equipment, or something along those lines, I'll just loop until I have a way to skip pillars. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not very fun. It just feels like time drain. It makes the Mithrix fight harder. And it's so frustrating when the teleporter radius is smaller because of Eclipse 3. Or Eclipse 2, rather. You have to do that disgusting Pillar of Soul, where the percent completion goes down when you exit it. And sometimes you have to leave the radius because of those little balls that leave the puddle of piss on the ground. Man, it's so frustrating. It drives me nuts. So I try to prioritize having a way to skip pillars. Mercenary can do it pretty easily if he has enough movement speed, because you can do the boost off of the side platforms with his M2. But for characters like Captain, try to make sure I have a Milky Chrysalis or a Volcanic Egg or Eccentric Vase, something along those lines. Or, you know, Head Stompers with Wax Quail, that works too. Just anything. Anything so I don't have to do pillars. We just absolutely destroyed those 2 Stone Titans, by the way. Our damage is still crazy. The only exception is if I have a build that basically plays itself. You know, if I have Ceremonial Daggers and FMP or something along those lines. Then I can do pillars because I don't really have to worry about it. The game just kills everything for me. But for the most part, oh my god, look at this. Ukulele printer with a polyloot? How disgusting. How absolutely gross is that? We're gonna get so much damage. I run straight over to the scrapper. Oh, we're just gonna be printing. I already know I'm giddy. I'm so happy I saw that. We're gonna get rid of the red whip, the bandolier. I don't want any of that garbage. That's right, the size, get rid of them. Oh, we're just gonna go full poly loop. What else are we gonna get rid of? Probably gonna get rid of the death mark. Ooh, do we get rid of the shipping request form too? I don't know. I feel like I would just take advantage of this opportunity, just stack as much damage as humanly possible. Yep, there's the death mark. It's going away. What else? Are we gonna get rid of the shipping request form? Ignition tank? Yep, going away. Get out of here, man. Oh, I just want 1,000 poly loops. You're gonna do so much damage. I love doing damage. It's one of the reasons I play video games, I swear to God. Just seeing big numbers pop up, watching everything die around me, God, it feels so good. I am that filthy DPS player that you all know in your group. That's me. I love it. How many polyloots is this now? It's gonna be 8 polyloots, and I haven't even looted the stage yet. I could get more. Oh my god. Oh, you can already hear the polyloot popping off on these little imps. It's gonna be so much damage. I see a green item. Insta. You know that's getting printed right away. No one likes Berserker's Pauldron anyway. Yep, there it is. Getting rid of it. Gonna print another one. Oh my god. I'm excited to watch the boss fight here on this stage. I feel like it's just gonna melt. I'm gonna hit Eviscerate. Polyloot's gonna proc like 3 times, and the health bar is just gonna disappear. The only way this could be better is if I get a bunch of crit too, and a plasma shrimp. Oh my god, it's popping off. Hunter's Harpoon, another green. You know that's getting printed. No one likes that item anyway. It's garbage. I got a comment the other day talking about how Hunter's Harpoon has to be garbage because if every item is as good as the top tier items, then the game becomes too easy. Holy moly, this run is nuts. Ceremonial Dagger, stage 4, 3 red items. I haven't even hit the legendary chest yet. And I have 9 polyloots and another one cooking with this Hunter's Harpoon. It's gonna be 11 polyloots now with that death mark. Oh my god. Look at the damage pop off. Ikum. And the ceremonial daggers killing everything for me. Another green multi-shot. 3 more green items with my credit card. I'm probably keeping the band. Band's good. But the other 2, you know those are getting printed into polyloots. Green item here. Another green item. Ooh, I might keep the Predatory Instincts, though. Predatory Instincts is, I think it's the best source of attack speed in the entire game once you have some crit. And especially with polyloot, the amount of hits that goes off, you're pretty likely to get some crits. You're pretty likely to stack up that attack speed. And as I mentioned earlier, attack speed scales Mercenary's Eviscerate, which leads to a lot of damage output. A lot of invincible damage output, too. That's when Mercenary really goes from being, you know, the fun character that moves around a lot with iframes to being a, you know, a real top-tier damage source if he can just spam Eviscerate with a ton of attack speed. And we're picking up the drones, too. I think I kind of slept on drones for a while. I don't know if I mentioned this in any of the tier list videos, but I thought they were just not worth picking up. And I still think there's an argument for not picking them up if you're trying to go through the stages quickly, because, you know, obviously the difficulty of the game goes up the longer that you're in a run, which is honestly the main incentive for not just taking your time, lounging around, going through the game at your leisure. So if you're farming gold to try and pick up drones, yeah, not really that great, but they pull aggro, which is great. They do some damage, which, you know, it's okay. But they really shine if you get an Empathy Cores or a Colonel Drone Man, then they just absolutely pop off. At that point, the drones are doing enough damage to pull their weight for sure. So generally speaking, I pick them up. I run with it. I think it's worth it. I'm not really a speed player anyway. I like to full loot. I think that the most fun part of the game, or, you know, one of the most fun parts, are getting all of the item interactions. Making sure your character is as powerful as possible with the items that you get in your run. I did say I'm that filthy DPS player. So I like to full loot. I just think it's a more fun way to play the game, even if it's not necessarily as effective or the most optimal way to play the game, especially when it comes to going through Eclipse 8 or high-level Eclipse runs. I think that games are meant to be fun, so you need to play the game in the way that's most fun for you. And in this case, even though it's not necessarily the most effective way to play the game, I just like looting. But if anybody's worried about that, and by about that, what I really mean is if anybody's worried about how fast you're going through stages, look at these stone titans melt. Oh my god, the polyloot is destroying them. Holy Christ. How many polyloots is that now? I can't even see. The resolution on this proxy footage is bad. I can't see it. 12, 13, 15? Oh, it's so gross. And with that many hits too, you know the 10th bobble's going to be popping off. Nothing's going to be able to move. Mithrix is going to be pinned in place. It's going to be disgusting. Free win. God, this run is so good. Runs like these that really just make you want to queue up again. Just do another run. Because the high of this one is so strong. It makes you feel so good. I love that feeling when the build starts coming together. I feel like no game does it better. Where you start stacking up items that have synergy and all of a sudden you're just a beast. But we're just wrapping up stage 4 here. So let's see if I forget anything that's left on this stage. I know I forgot on stage 2 to pick up those void cradles, so I hope I remember to finish scrapping all of the stuff on this stage, and I don't know if I'm going to farm gold to get the legendary chest. I might not. Sometimes it can be bait. It really depends. The power level of red items in this game are so variable. Like ceremonial daggers and Tesla coil are incredible. Those are super high value items, but I mean, you can look at the soulbound catalyst in this game. It's not doing anything. You know, the only equipment I have, or I use Ocular HUD a little bit. Oh, it looks like I am going to farm some gold for the legendary chest. That's interesting. But I did use the Ocular HUD for a little bit, but I picked up the credit card on stage 2, and that basically has no cooldown. This is a great way to optimize time, by the way, scrapping while you're farming for gold. If you still need gold for the legendary chest, or a Shrine of Chance or something, you're trying to full loot, and there's a scrapper on the stage, waiting to scrap to when you're in the teleporter and you're farming for gold is a great way to use time. Normally I would scrap the focus crystal too, but because, well, I mean, because Mercenary has to get in melee range for Eviscerate, you know, it's just very efficient. Am I checking the price on the legendary chest? Yes, I am. What is it, 5k? 4k. Oh, that's not that bad. I only need another 1,000. That's like one gup spawn. And I left a Shrine of Chance. You know I want that Shrine of Chance. I hope I don't do something stupid, like only farm enough gold to get the legendary chest and then pick up a drone or something and not be able to afford it. That would be really frustrating. But it's a very me thing to do. Just absolutely forget about it. Speaking about a gup spawn, here we go. I was not a fan of gups when they were first introduced, just because the hitbox on their spikes is so unbelievably large, but I really like them now. They feel like Hopu trying to just give you gold. Because sometimes you just don't get the elites to get all the extra gold. And what are you going to do on Eclipse 6 Plus? Kill 4,000 Lemurians to open one chest? No, that's ridiculous. Alright, we're at 5.17k and we're still farming, so hopefully I'm using my brain right now. But yeah, gups just give an incredible amount of gold. I think the big one gives a huge amount, and then, you know, the little ones, it stacks up. They're no elite enemy. I would still rather have, you know, a blazing glacial overloading enemy to kill to get my gold. But they're better than nothing. They're better than beetles, that's for sure. Better than bison. Man, I hate bison on E7. Look at this riveting farming gameplay. Trying to do my herb runs right now. Make sure I get all my torstals, you know? An extra, you know, $500,000 per run. Feels good. Oh, you hear that? That's the sound of polyloot going off in the background. God, that feels so good. I'm so broken right now. It's insane. 6.3. 6.3k gold. Alright, we're done farming. Let's see what we get from this legendary chest. This run's nuts already. I hope it's something insane. That would just be absolutely crazy. Another predatory instincts. Feels good. More attack speed. Uh-oh. Am I going to have enough money? 5.7. Okay. Ah, credit card coming in clutch to give me extra money. We go to the legendary chest. What do we get? What do we get? You know, honestly, of all the characters to get Frost Relic, Merc's not the worst. It's okay on him. Honestly, the only time I feel like Frost Relic is really that good is if you have an FMP, if you can guarantee the kills, because otherwise you're going to go up against Mithrix and do nothing, you know? I forgot the Shrine of Chance all the way over there, by the way. Do I remember? I do remember. Now, look at me go. That one stage, stage 2, where I forgot those Void Cradles really weighing on me, and it was worth it. Energy drink feels so good. Oh my god, I'm printing the Predatory? I mean, honestly, just stacking polyloots is probably the most broken way to play the game. I have the opportunity, I might as well take it. Razor Wire 2, yep, that's gonna go. We're just gonna keep the Shuriken shipping request form in the 2 bands. Oh, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about scrapping the shipping request form. I know I am. Gasoline gotta go too. We don't want that. I mean, at this point, we have so much AoE damage with the 2 red items, the Tesla Coil and the Ceremonial Daggers. Oh, and we're printing Tesla Coil too because we don't want to deal with it with Mithrix. Not taking the chance of not getting a scrapper on stage 5. Which, to be honest, is the right thing to do. Mithrix with Tesla Coil is super frustrating. Especially if you're playing a melee character. Like Mercenary or Acrid or Loader. It's not so bad with Loader because she can, you know, get in and out really quickly. And so can Mercenary to an extent, but man, it's really brutal. Oh god, look at all those ukuleles. How many polyloots do I have? 16? Holy Christ, I'm broken. It's nuts. It's crazy. Oh, look at that. 2 big sacks of money right in front of me. I love it. We're just gonna spam the Eviscerate, get the Polyloot to pop off. Look at the damage! It's melting! 16 Polyloots! That is so gross. And another multi-shot. Man, you know, I feel like everybody knows that Recycler is the best equipment in the game. It's just super consistent. It basically doubles your chance to get a good item. If you're trying to get a particular synergy, or like maybe you're trying to reroll equipment to get a trophy on a Tricorn, the Elephant Gun, or something like that. But man, sometimes when you get the good run, credit card just pops off. There's so much value. If you're just getting multi-shops on every stage, if you get shipping request form early and you can get 2 free items out of that every stage, it's just so much value. It's so good. Wax Quill is nuts here too, especially because I haven't picked up any real movement speed items since stage 1. Oh no, I got some mochas along the way, I can see, in the Goat Hoof and the Energy Drink last stage, but blech, get out of here with that. I can't stand Lost Seers lenses, man. It's so gross. I don't understand why people like this item. I've seen some opinions on the internet. People that like Lost Seers lenses, and I swear to God, these people must be just loopers. They must be just perma-looping. And I can see how Lost Year's lenses would be good for that if you're going against just a ton of mobbing. Another Scrapper. Scrapper on stage 5 always feels good. I feel kind of cheated when stage 5 doesn't have a Scrapper on it. I don't know. I feel like it should just always have one. Maybe that would make the game too easy, but like, it's a feel-good thing, you know? Sometimes you have to design the game so that it's fun, even if it compromises a little bit of difficulty or a little bit of challenge. What do we have in here? Crunder is not bad, especially with Polyloop. That's something to think about. Crowdfunder can definitely hard carry on Mithrix. It's pretty insane. A Wax Quail Printer, which feels pretty good. I can get rid of some of the bad green items, like the Lepton Daisy here. Oh, another Wax Quail. Maybe we don't want to print Wax Quail then, because that's going to be a lot. It's a lot of quails. I feel like at some point, you get so many quails, it just becomes uncontrollable. You're bouncing around the map like it's nobody's business. It's insane. It's too hard to control for me. And also, I just screw those mushrooms. They're so frustrating. What we got going on here? Ooh, you see that? Recycler, and a Royal Capacitor. That is a disgusting equipment shop. Holy moly. I already know, I'm looking around, I'm trying to find multi-shops. I can pop all the multi-shops and then pick up the recycler and go back through and re-roll things trying to get something good. God, that would be disgusting, man. It almost makes me regret picking up the Lysate because Recycler along with Fuel Cells is a really strong combination. It just feels bad waiting around 45 seconds to re-roll an item when you only have one. You can see me pop both of them right there. You know I want it. But when you have fuel cells, you have 2, 3, 4 fuel cells, all of a sudden, you know, the cooldown's low, it's coming up stat. You can reroll like 5 items in a row. Visions? You know, Visions is like stereotypically good on melee survivors because having range is just safer in general. But a Mercenary, I feel like it's just never worth. Not being able to expose is such a detriment. Expose is how you get a lot of your cooldowns back, and your cooldowns are how you cycle invincibility and dodge attacks. It's really important. So it's not for me, although in a game like this where I just have a bunch of polyloots and really all I'm trying to do is proc polyloot over and over again to get damage out, then I can see a use for it, but I think for the most part it's just not worth it. I hate medkits so much. I definitely left it there because I'm planning on re-rolling it with the recycler. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it though, because I don't have any fuel cells. Am I going to leave both those two? Yeah. I can already tell you right now, I can peer into the future, even though, you know, I already did this run, so I guess I could just be remembering it. But peering into the future, I already know, knowing me, that my intention is I'm going to leave those items to recycle them because they're bad, and I'm going to get sick of waiting and just pick them up anyway. I have no patience sometimes. It's really brutal, but in this particular case, I don't think waiting is the right move anyway, because we're waiting 45 seconds per item for, you know, a white item reroll. What's the best case scenario? I reroll a med kit into like Lensmaker's Glasses, 10% more damage. I don't really need that much more damage to play the game. In fact, I don't even think I need any more damage. If I went to Mithrix right now with these exact items, I think I would do absolutely fine. So I just don't think it's worth it, really. Look at me leaving that stun grenade like I'm going to reroll it. I wonder how many of these I'm going to stick with. Worst case scenario, if I'm running around re-rolling everything and I don't get anything, I will just fast forward through this section. But we'll see. I'm leaving that one too. I'm absolutely not re-rolling all this. We're at like 6 items on the ground. 7, 8, 9 from the multi-shop. 45 seconds each. Even if I, you know, pick it up, re-roll an item, do the teleporter, and then keep running out of the teleporter radius every 45 seconds to reroll another item, I'm still only going to get like 3 of them done by the time the teleport is done. What you thinking about, buddy? Yeah, just activate it. I didn't even pick up the recycler. I don't know about you guys. I cannot stand the key constructs. I think they are so frustrating to deal with. They lead their shot like absolute bastards. It's so annoying. They do a ton of damage. Just for 0. They do so much damage. It's ridiculous. And it feels like the only consistent way to deal with them is just have a ton of damage, you know, right off the bat. Just one-shot them before they can do anything. Or just have a ton of movement speed. Because they don't track that well once you're moving pretty fast, but if you're just on, like, you know, base move speed, 1 or 2 goat hooves, they'll absolutely train that beam on you and you will get destroyed. It's so frustrating. I hate it. I don't know what Hopu is thinking. They might take the cake for the most annoying boss in the game right now. I don't know if I can think of anything worse. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. I think it's just the key constructs. I think they're the worst. Awful. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you, there is one thing that is worse. And that is Eclipse 7 AWU. Oh my god. You just are not allowed to do any damage to it because it keeps getting that shield up. It's horrible. It just feels so poorly designed. And I know that the game wasn't balanced around Eclipse, but it's so egregious that it feels like it should have been patched, you know? Like, the issue isn't that he does his ground explosion every 5 seconds. That's fine. The damage is avoidable. It's just the shield that pops up every time. And AWU has so much health. I don't know. The health scaling on it feels higher than Voidling. I don't understand why the health scaling is that high, but when the shield pops up, the shield is a percentage of maximum health. So not only is it one of the tankiest enemies in the game, especially if you're looping, but on Eclipse 7, it becomes even tankier because that shield is popping up over and over again. Look at this. I picked up the recycler, and I immediately decided not to recycle all the items because I got tired of it. I just CBA. I can't deal with it. It's too much waiting. There's like 10 seconds left on it. Am I even going to recycle one item? I don't think I am. I mean, that's the correct decision. I could have recycled that one. The cooldown was off. Maybe I'm trying to recycle equipment. If I don't feel good about having a pillar skip right now. I don't know how much movement speed exactly Mercenary needs to skip pillars using the M2 boost. I might have enough right now, but it's hard to say. I'm sure there's some big brain person out there that has all those numbers memorized, but it's not me. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna wait around and reroll equipment, try and get a pillar skip? Or are we just gonna take the royal cap and go? What are we doing? I'm thinking about it. Nothing else to get, man. You just gonna wait for the reroll? By the way, what you just saw there is one of the most frustrating things about playing Mercenary with drones, or even just in multiplayer. For some reason, the eviscerate just stops on ally units. It's so annoying. I really do not understand why that was a decision that was made. There must be something in the coding that prevents it from functioning better, because it's just cancerous. There's no way. There's no way anyone thought that was a good idea. It just stops you in place and then you hit nothing and the cooldown still goes off anyway. It's terrible. You can get rid of all this garbage. Got 2 red scrap, a bunch of white scrap. Am I gonna have enough for 5 greens for a potential red soup? We'll see. By the way, pro tip. if you have a bunch of drones and ceremonial daggers, you should be really careful going to Mithrix, because when he kills your drones, he spawns ceremonial daggers. You can't dodge those, you'll just take damage. So it is absolutely worth keeping in mind scrapping the ceremonial daggers before you go to Mithrix. If you have to do pillars, though, the ceremonial daggers makes it almost trivial, so it's a tough call to make. That 10 green scrap, we have a chance for 2 red items from the soup. Blech. No pillar skip. Back to the scrapper. Yep, and getting rid of all of the on-kill items. That's smart. The Mithrix fight really doesn't have any opportunity to use on-kill items against him unless you have FMP. Even on phase 3 where there are enemies spawning around him, it just isn't consistent. It's only like 1 or 2 at a time. Even the ceremonial daggers, I don't blame you. It's looking like we're gonna have to do pillars. And we get another recycler. Oh, wait. Oh, no. We took the royal cap. That's what happened. Yeah, I think I was really trying to get a pillar skip going, because I don't know if I have enough move speed, but we'll see. We'll see if I have to do pillars right here. Maybe I won't. Having 4 Mocha... Oh, I have 3 charges of my Eviscerate. I should be able to skip it regardless, just because I have so many dashes. It should be fine. So we're probably just going to go visit the soup, boost off of one of those side platforms with the M2, and then dash our way up. We probably have enough move speed anyway to skip, but I never know the numbers. Never tell me the numbers, as someone famous once said. I kind of miss old commencement. I kind of don't miss it because it was platforming hell. It was so frustrating having to get through all of those platforms without a Hopu feather. But man, I just don't like pillars. What red item is that? Laser scope. But I only have 15% crit. There's gotta be something better. Right? Come on, give me like a clover or something. Oh, Brilliant Behemoth is nuts. That's awesome. Just an extra 50% damage for free. And another ceremonial daggers, which is crazy. I mean, stacking Behemoth doesn't really do anything, so what am I going to do here? I should probably take the laser scope. Unless I'm going to have to do pillars, in which case the ceremonial daggers is definitely the better choice. I'm thinking about it right here. I don't know what I'm going to do. Kill all these little testicles. This is proof that pee is stored in the balls, by the way, because when you kill the testicles, they drop a puddle of piss on the ground. And I do end up taking the ceremonial daggers. I mean, it's smart. If I have to do pillars, which I don't know if I'm going to have to, it's good. I mean, it'll be good for phase 2 Mithrix. It'll do, you know, something on phase 3. I'm going to have to worry about him killing my drones. And yeah, I actually just have so many dashes that it doesn't even matter that I don't have enough move speed. God bless, man. Screw pillars, you heard it here first. Hopu, if you're watching, which you're probably not, remove pillars. It's bad. I don't like it. God bless Lysate. That was a good pickup. Getting a lot of value out of it. Skipping pillars is huge. Getting extra invincibility is huge. One of the things that you can do with a bunch of Lysate cells and Eviscerate on Mercenary... Oh, by the way, shoutouts to Eclipse 4 Mithrix just completely dodging Royal Capacitor. Everybody knows what that's like. But one of the things you can do with a bunch of Lysate cells and Eviscerate is you can actually just spam Eviscerate on Mithrix while he's doing revolving doors. Which means you don't have to worry about the damage at all. It's kind of a big deal. Sometimes the thing about these games that makes them difficult isn't necessarily the mechanics. You know, this isn't Guilty Gear, this isn't Super Smash Bros. Melee. You don't have to press buttons incredibly quickly. You don't have to, you know, have insane precision and combo flow charts, but there is a mental stack. You know, you have to keep track of a bunch of stuff. And sometimes, you know, Phase 3 Mithrix, there's little minions on the ground or, you know, a puddle of piss or something. And then you have to deal with revolving doors at the same time, plus you're still trying to keep optimal DPS on Mithrix. It can be annoying. And I feel like that's how a lot of runs can end, is the mental stack just gets too big. But we're destroying this Phase 2 right now. Always go for the flying guys first. They're awful. They're horrible. By the way, Ceremonial Daggers finish off the rest of that Phase 2, so having 2 stacks of that is pretty crazy. I dash straight into a puddle of piss. Embarrassing. Horrible. That's the first damage I took on this stage, too. That was a really good commencement until that moment where I dashed into the piss. I hope I don't dash into revolving doors. That's going to be embarrassing. Here it is. We're just staying far away. I'm not even going to try to DPS him. Come on, man. Oh, yeah. We're going to eviscerate during it. That's right. Keep that DPS going. Optimal. That's what I like to see. And I dashed into more damage again because I don't know what's going on. I'm just dashing around, having fun being a ninja at this point. Wait on my poly loot to do all the damage for me. Oh my god, I dashed into the... That was one of the most embarrassing things I have ever seen in my life. If I didn't have Opal there, I think I'd just die. How horrible would that be? After this insane god run. Ridiculous. Oh, and we glitched him out too. Shout out to Kiara's glitching out Phase 4 Mithrix, so I don't even have to do it. Sometimes it feels pretty cheap winning that way, but I don't know. I feel like for this run it was fitting. It was already so much good RNG on this run. I got all the right items. Might as well get the good RNG on Mithrix Phase 4 too. Why not? And that's it. We can probably go to Voidling here too, but I don't think I want to. I have too many bad deaths to Voidling. I just run into stuff and die for no reason. Or I don't realize he's about to do his big suck. Just really careless stuff. The thing is, you know, you don't get that much practice against Voidling because there are a lot of runs where you just don't have the damage to kill him because his base health is so high. Unless you're looping and you're just stacking items to do a bunch of damage, it's pretty likely that you're not going to have the damage to kill him unless you have a god run. This run in particular, I think I probably do. Just having all those poly loots makes it, you know, pretty likely. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is you just don't get as much practice against the Voidling as you do against Mithrix. And especially on Eclipse, you can't even do the Void Locust. You can't get to the Voidling aside from killing Mithrix. So if you want a chance at killing the Voidling, you have to kill Mithrix, which means you're getting even more disproportionate Mithrix experience to Voidling. So it just doesn't happen that often. But regardless, that was an insane run. It was fun to watch. It was fun to play. I'm glad I looked back on it. If anybody has any feedback on this video, the commentary format, anything like that, I'd love to hear it. This is something new, just doing post-commentary for an hour. Got a little bit of voice soreness, and check the damage, check the damage. Oh, 1.5 mil is not that high. And as always, liking and subscribing are greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel a lot. It tells me that you like my content, and importantly, it tells YouTube that they should show my content to more people. So if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe because I'm going to be putting out more videos. But regardless, I hope all of you have a wonderful day.